Yeah, cold air, bright flame, hit a crest when we enter. When the crest covers circle tight, we remember power in the whispers, protection in the spell, etching in our bloodline, yeah, we know it well. Strong minds, strong hearts, every sigil intentional. Love keeps us guarded, magic multi-dimensional. We rise together, no throne, no lone caster. Sisters and brothers, every spell cast faster. Ice in the wind, but the bonds stay warm. Through shadow and storm, we transform. This ain't fear, this is faith in motion. When the crest covered, strength, love, devotion.
You have tuned in to the Winter Crest podcast, and I'm your host, Abiyah. My full name is Paul Abiyah Rafu, and I am so blessed and thrilled to be talking with you. I've had the privilege of talking to many of the coven this week. And if you are a member of Wintercrest, you can get readings from me. You can talk to me. You can have consultations with me. All of that is in your $25 monthly membership fee. If you would like to know more about Wintercrest, if you're not a member, and you would like to know more about Wintercrest, go to www.wintercrestcoven.com, and there's information there. This week, I talked to many of you, and I had a chance to talk to those that are not of the coven. And there's a theme that I kept seeing this week. It's amazing to me how people refuse to hear the truth. How it's difficult for them to see themselves and to understand that they're the problem. When I was in a psychology class in college, the professor told those of us that will be clinicians that it's important to just mirror people because it's damn near impossible for many people to see their truth, to see what's really going on with them. Only a specific elect few can do this, and those are the ones that really want to know how to both spiritually and mentally grow. I talk to people in relationships and stuff, and it doesn't matter how often so many people repeat cycles. They have difficulty seeing themselves. They don't see what's going on. It's kind of like people that have certain physical diseases and certain things, and they'll go and they'll continue to eat a bad diet. They'll keep going to get pizzas and nachos and all these, foods that are not necessarily good for them. And then what they'll do is they'll go get something topical. Let's say they have some type of skin disease, or let's say they have asthma, whatever the case may be. They'll go take a multivitamin to comfort their minds instead of finding out what's really wrong with them and what they can do to really start solving the problems. Maybe I shouldn't be drinking a 6-pack of soda every day. Maybe I shouldn't be smoking a carton of cigarettes if I have asthma. Maybe I should increase my water intake. Maybe I should deal more with these green leafy vegetables. if I have food allergies or something. No, they won't do that. They will do what they want to do. And then they'll take a pill or they'll play like whatever they did wasn't that bad. And I'll give you an example. I was talking with a woman and she asked me, what kind of warlock am I? And I wrote to her on Facebook, I said, I am not a warlock. I am a witch. What kind of witch am I? Well, it depends upon the circumstance. Smiley face got off. She wrote me back and she rebuked me saying, you are a warlock. Only women can be witches. And I was thinking to myself, oh God, this shit again. So I began to write this lady. I'm trying to be as kind and as nice as I possibly can. I write her and I let her know that Gerald Gardner identified as a witch. If it wasn't for him, I don't think the Wicca movement would be where it is today. They called him the king of the witches. Stephen Alexander identified as a witch. Buckland, Raymond Buckland identified as a witch. And Starry-Ann Ravenhawk, who studied with Laura Cabot, has a beautiful YouTube teaching on how men were witches, cunning folks. It's astounding how the feminist movement tries to hijack the spirituality of witchcraft and how the Hollywood is trying to stigmatize it. The feminist movement is trying to gather it. And a lot of people say, well, women was really tortured, and they talk about the women's suffrage. But women weren't the only ones suffering. They weren't the only ones suffering. And they say, yeah, but it was more women than men. Now, who the hell is taking score? If they're hurting both of us, then it doesn't matter who died the most. The deed that was done against us is wrong. Witchcraft is not opposed to masculinity. Witchcraft is not opposed to the patriarchy. This is a lie that has been perpetrated by almost, I don't want to say that. I'm not going to, because that was insulting. But this is how I get about this thing. But go educate yourself on it. Some of the strongest men are considered witches, regardless of what Webster says, regardless of what Hollywood says, and regardless of what J.K. Rowling says. We're witches, in my opinion. Now, you can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. I'm not telling you what to call yourself. You can call yourself no good if you want to, and that's not my job. But don't you tell me what I can and cannot call myself. Now, I told her, gave her a list, Scott Cunningham and others that considered themselves to be witches. These are men. Strong, magical men, male witches. And I don't give a damn about how you female witches trying to keep me out of it. You ain't gonna do it. Well, we're not gonna let you come to our coven. I'm not asking. I believe magic goes beyond gender, and witchcraft does as well. And I believe those that are truly sincere at heart about the craft They don't like this divide us stuff. They want a united front. Brothers and sisters united. And since I'm at this juncture, let me say this here. Not all witches are gay. We ain't got no problem with those who are. I'm not gay. There's nothing in me that's gay. I tried to be gay for about a second or two because Prince is pretty. But other than that, I realized, no, I'm just not that. I love my sister witches. I love women. Okay? So I'm a straight male witch. And I'm not going to call myself a warlock because there's a few women. There's a few women that don't like me calling myself a witch. I know what I am. I told her that, and I concluded the letter by saying this: you're not my mom. You can't tell me what to call myself. You can't tell me what my name is. Okay? Instead of her learning, she sent me an angry face. Instead of her learning, it was difficult for her to learn. It's difficult for people to say when they're wrong, but you can't grow otherwise. When I am wrong, I don't try to quickly ignore it and get over it. No, my ego could come in and keep me stuck in the quagmire of complacency if I do that. In order to change, I need to diagnose my wrong. See, this is what shadow work is about. I need to look at my wrong. I need to revisit that wrong and figure out how to make this wrong right. When I was in sports, we did not go back and go over our strengths. We looked at our weakness, our mistakes. We studied that in the film room in football. So when we played a new team, we were stronger because we saw our mistakes. In the world of economics, they have this thing called the SWOT analysis. The SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You want to shore up your strengths. You want to look for weaknesses so you can fix them so you won't be weak no more. Then you can better see opportunities and you can better avoid threats. If you are to be a strong practitioner, you have to do the work of self-discovery. You have to look at what's going on, the whole picture, and you have to have the strength to change what's there. Now, another thing that we have an issue with in the magical community is that we think words are more powerful than behavior. And this is a folly. Words are powerful. Yes, they are. But sometimes you can say a lot with just your expression. You can say you're sorry, but you don't look it. You're not walking like you're sorry. You're not acting like you're sorry. And the universe is hearing the incantation of your sign language because you have greater confidence in your body's language than you do with your verbal language. A lot of the curses that you have placed on yourself have been your doing. These are self-inflicted wounds. Things you've done to yourself. But if you're to be strong, you got to look at what you've done to yourself. Just like many of the diseases and sicknesses, there are remedies and potions and things we can find to make ourselves better. But you may not be able to go to Chili's. You may not be able to go to Starbucks. You can't keep eating Jelly Bellies. You can't keep eating Sour Patch Kids to bring this about in your life. There has to come a point where you say, you know what? I need to do better with myself. I talk to so many people that's having heart diseases, diabetes, and you know what? They just don't have one disease. They have a whole litany of them. They just keep compiling. People on statins, people not only on statins, but they're on blood pressure medicine, and they're overweight, and they just keep going. And instead of them saying, wait a minute, I need a life change. I need to stop hurting myself. And let me just find out what I need to do nutritionally, through meditation, through magic. And I believe all of it is magic, baby. Through those aspects and those roads to better take care of myself. See, a good longevity plan is not to eat all of this overly processed food and then call 911 when I'm in trouble, let them stabilize me, and then go eat less of the overly processed food. That's not a good life plan. A good life plan is not to keep getting in messed up relationships with people that don't honor me and people that don't love me and people that barely like me. That's not a good life plan. So in order to be a strong mage, a strong witch, a strong sorcerer, we have to deal with ourselves. We have to learn from our mistakes. We have to sit back and say, wait a minute, how am I acting? How's my face looking? How am I walking? And we've become so enamored with ourselves that we don't even see it. It's so subconscious. And when somebody brings it to the forefront, we get upset with them. You need brother and sister witches to tell you how you're acting and how you're behaving if you can't see it yourself. And you need to change these actions so that you can have a life worth living. Well, I don't have to listen to no damn body. I'm a witch. Yeah, you got that right. You ain't got to listen. You can be a dumb witch. There's a such thing as Crabbe and Goyle. I didn't know you could read. You can be an illiterate witch. You could be a witch that can't do nothing. You can do that. You know, some people say, well, you acting like the Abrahamic faith trying to give us rules and laws. Baby, there are magical laws. It would be wise for you to know what they are. And I'm not saying God is penalizing you or punishing you. I don't believe that at all. You are doing that to yourself. With your lack of study, your constant complaining, and your intolerable laziness. Ignoring what's right there in front of your face. Talking about how much power you got. And you barely have none. I just left a conference not long ago where the host of the conference was arguing with each other. Right there in front of all of the witches. And people just kind of excuse that behavior. Well, it's going to keep on happening. You know, it's not, you shouldn't be calling yourself, you know, a bitch witch. What the hell is wrong with you? Okay? You shouldn't be no drummer kings and drummer queens. You talking about a witch is about being a wise, cunning person? And you think bitching is wise? You think being a drummer king or drummer queen, you think that is wise? You think getting drunk until you act a fool, and then when they try to put you out of the establishment because you're drunk, and then telling everybody you're a witch and you're going to hex the establishment is wise? And you wondering why they're laughing at us. You're wondering why they're poking fun at us. You're wondering why they're not taking us seriously. Hell, we're not taking ourselves seriously. I'm taking me seriously. Let me rephrase that. Some of y'all ain't taking this seriously. But if we're to be wise people, then we're people that are peaceful as much as we can be peaceful. There's times when you can. But it's not because I'm high and I'm at the party and they didn't serve my hot dogs and 2 tater tots right. It's time for us to wake up and wise up and live out the true meaning of what it means to be a noble and strong witch. To really walk the way of the witch. To be what we are. And not this buffoonery that we see on YouTube and other places. It don't make no sense. It makes no sense. We need to wise up. We need to grow up. All of the information out there and all the stuff you think you know. And let me say this. Just because you can regurgitate information doesn't mean you're wise. Wisdom is the application of knowledge. Knowledge is stored information that you can recall. Anybody can get knowledge. Knowledge is knowing stuff. But wisdom is the application of knowledge in its proper context. Being able to acquiesce toward the knowledge and in the knowledge. If we're to be wise ones, we're to be spiritual, strong. We should study the craft. We should be able to feel the presence of the goddess. And we should stop all of this foolish bickering backwards and forward about titles, means, and ways. This is craziness. This is craziness. And that is why the Wintercrest Coven was started. Some say you can't have a coven with over 13 members. Nah, that's not us. We have thousands of members, okay? And our coven is to be a canopy for those that really want the spiritual aspects of the craft. It doesn't matter which path you're on. You could be a satanic witch or a Christian witch. You could be a Wiccan. You can be a non-Wiccan and eclectic. It doesn't matter to me. You could be doing chaos magic. You could be doing hoodoo. You may not even call yourself a witch. None of that matters. You're magical, right? If you are magical, you have a home here. And what we're attempting to do is to strengthen you, get you in an environment where you can be strengthened to the point where you can grow in whatever path you're in. Thank you for listening. This is the Wintercrest Coven Podcast. This is Paul Abayarafu. Until next time, blessed be everybody.
Yeah. Cold air, bright flame, hit a crest when we enter. When the crest covers circle tight, we remember. Power in the whispers, protection in the spell. Etching in our bloodline, yeah, we know it well. Strong minds, strong hearts, every sigil intentional. Love keeps us guarded, magic multidimensional. We rise together, no throne, no lone caster. Sisters and brothers, every spell cast faster. Ice in the wind, but the bonds stay warm. Through shadow and storm, we transform. This ain't fear, this is faith in motion. When the crest covered, strength, love, devotion.